Illustrations and examples on how to visualize subtle impermanence. 1. Experiencing subtle awareness through breath. Alone, go to a quiet place and sit cross-legged. With sensitive awareness, focus on the area around your lips and observe your inhalation. When the inhalation is long, observe and be aware that my inhalation is long. When the inhalation is short, also be aware that my inhalation is short. When the exhalation is short, understand that my exhalation is short. As the previous breath has passed, know that the previous breath has passed. Understand that a new breath is arising. Just like a skilled carpenter who uses a measuring tape, knowing when it is long and when it is short. Continuously observing the inhalation and exhalation in this way, with precise and truthful observation, we can see the arising and the ceasing of phenomena. For example, as one's observation becomes further strengthened, one can see even more clearly and in greater detail the changes that occur within a shorter period of time. During the exhalation, one can fully perceive the beginning, middle, and end stages of the process as the breath arises from the respiratory tract and exits through the nostril. By observing in this way, one can establish a clear awareness. The body is simply a continuous process of momentary transformation, and there is no enduring self beyond the arising and ceasing of each moment. 2. From observing speech to experiencing subtle impermanence. For example, when speaking the phrase, "What am I doing?" Observe the back of the throat where the tongue and back palate meet when saying, "I." The mouth opens on "ah," the lips close on when saying "am." The tongue touches the top frontal palate when saying "doing." Observe with mindfulness the constantly moving parts of the vocal apparatus. Observe the tongue moving up, down, forward, and backward. You can experience how the spoken sound rapidly changes and transforms with no moment of stillness or pause. The consciousness that generates the intention to speak also arises and ceases in each moment. Because of the impermanence of each moment of sound. 3. Experiencing subtle impermanence while walking. When we walk a distance, it is actually the process of countless minute particles in the body moving moment by moment. If we can capture the image of each moment, it will reveal that no two moments of the body are the same. At the same time, by doing so, we can also realize the impermanence of consciousness. As the footsteps move, the mind is aware of the lifting, moving, and landing. In reality, the observer is also impermanent because if the awareness of the mind that perceives the lifting of the foot is not instantaneous, then the subsequent awareness of the movement cannot arise. Therefore, observing the current awareness of the mind can also lead to cultivation of the contemplation of subtle impermanence. Breaking down the process of walking. Firstly, divide the body into tiny particles in the upper, middle, and lower parts. Contemplate that walking is not a fixed, solid person moving from one place to another, but rather countless minute particles are arising and ceasing moment by moment. And the new, extremely countless tiny particles are rapidly disintegrating and arising in new positions. Continually change like flowing water or a flickering flame. To realize subtle impermanence, one must rely on profound samadhi. As a beginner, one can solely start from contemplation. For contemplating and observing one's lifespans passing like lightning in the sky. Once a bhikkhu said to the Buddha, "I can practice death contemplation." The Buddha asked, "How do you practice?" The bhikkhu replied, "I do not think I want to live for more than 7 years. The Buddha said, "You are practicing death contemplation in a state of heedlessness." Some bhikkhu said, "I do not think I want to live for 7 months. The Buddha said, "You are practicing in a state of indulgence." Other bhikkhus said 7 days, 6 days, even 1 day. Some said from morning until noon, and others said from the time it takes to eat a meal. The Buddha gave the same criticism for all these cases. The last bhikkhu said, "I do not think of exhaling, yet I am still able to inhale. I do not think of inhaling, yet I am still able to exhale." The Buddha praised him, stating, "You are a bhikkhu who practices death contemplation without laxity, and you are not indulging in heedlessness. Indeed, during exhalation, inhalation ceases, and during inhalation, exhalation ceases." Regarding time, one should contemplate long to short. The previous hour has passed. This minute has come. The previous minute has gone. Continuously lessens until this moment arises and the previous moment has already ceased. Further contemplate. The entire life of a person is actually the arising and ceasing of the 5 aggregates in each moment, just like flashes of lightning in the sky. The so-called lifespan, apart from its momentary nature, cannot be established as a constant and abiding phenomenon. Furthermore, breaking down the 5 aggregates into extremely subtle particles and mental discernments, one's lifespan is just a momentary arising of these particles and thoughts. There is no truly existing lifespan, except in the designation of countless momentary instances as lifespan by the 6th consciousness. 5. The sound of Avalokitesvara and the consciousness of hearing are like the tides of the sea. We can practice mindfulness whether walking, riding in a vehicle, or sitting indoors. Just as an image appears in a clear mirror, regardless of the volume, length, or movement of the sound, it is perceived just as it appears. For example, when we listen attentively to the chirping and tweeting of 100 birds with a concentrated mind, the consciousness discerns and distinguishes the bird sounds clearly. When the sound chirp arises, we become aware that it is chirp, and when it ceases, we know that it has ceased. By listening in this way, we understand that all sounds are conditioned phenomenon arising due to certain causes and conditions, and can only exist for a single moment before disappearing. For example, when a carpenter strikes a piece of wood with a hammer, a sound ta-ta is produced. This sound is created by the coming together of causes and conditions, such as the hammer, the wood, and the strike. Can you imagine it arising without any cause or condition? Obviously not. Similarly, when we observe sounds like the sound of wind, rain, or cars, regardless of their duration or type, they are all momentary in nature and do not have any actual continuity beyond that moment. Further observing the ear consciousness, when a car sound arises, we can hear the sound of the car. When a bird chirps, we can hear the birds chirping. We perceive the arising of sound when it arises, and perceive the cessation of sound when it ceases. Therefore, ear consciousness also arises and ceases with each momentary change of sound, and apart from momentariness, there is no permanently existent ear consciousness. 6. Awareness while dining. Observe as the body moves step by step towards the dining table. It is actually just a pile of microparticles moving moment by moment in space, with its causes and conditions no different from flowing water. During the meal, with each bite, the lips, teeth, tongue, throat, stomach, and intestines move moment by moment. The lips open and close, the teeth chew constantly, and the tongue stirs back and forth, all resulting in a continuous series of vibrations within the body. Upon further observation, each organ can be broken down into countless microparticles that constantly aggregate and vibrate with their causes and conditions. Phenomenon arise and cease one after another. Furthermore, observing the other 4 aggregates, discerning the contact between the tongue and food is the aggregate of consciousness. Distinguishing the taste of food is the aggregate of perception, and ceases with each moment. The aggregate of perception discerns, this is sweet, that is spicy. As various types of food come into contact with the mouth and tongue, the aggregate of consciousness arises. The aggregate of sensation constantly experiences different feelings, and the aggregate of mental formations generates various mental states with each moment. These mental phenomena arise and cease with each moment and can never remain until the next moment, like bubbles in the water. No matter how we eat, no matter how long it lasts, it is only momentary in nature. Apart from momentariness, there is no complete and independent existence of eating. Experiencing the pleasure, pain, or indifference from eating food is the aggregate of sensation. Generating desires, aversions, and other mental states towards food, propelling the flow of consciousness, is the aggregate of mental formations. No matter how we eat, no matter how long it lasts, it is only momentary in nature. Apart from momentariness, there is no complete and independent existence of eating.